introduce you now to Danielle Jansen, who is coming all the way from the National Library of the Netherlands. So Danielle is a linked data and IIIF specialist at the KB, National Library of the Netherlands, and she is responsible for both the harvesting, reconciliation and publications of linked open data and the implementation of IIIF and the KB. So we're very excited to have Danielle here because one of the big projects and one of our big loves at the moment, of course, is that the wonderful Facult Collection, which I'm not pronouncing correctly, and which Daniela will pronounce correctly, no doubt, throughout her presentation. So this is the historical private library of the Dutch Facult family that was acquired by Trinity College Dublin in 1802 and is a great source of collaboration and cooperation between ourselves and the Library in Trinity and the KB. So I'll hand over to you, Daniela. Thank you.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Arlene. Let me share my screen. I hope you just see my presentation right now. And yes, as Arlene said, I will be slightly changing the subject and tell you a little bit more about the Farco collection. It's sort of impossible for me to pronounce it a more English way. So you get the very sharp Dutch G as a present today. First of all, I would like to thank the other speakers for their presentations that were so rich of information. And I'd like to thank all the organizers of the IIIF Research Network seminar today for inviting me. And coming all the way from The Hague in a virtual way is not that hard. And to be honest, I would have preferred to come live to you from Dublin, Ireland, but with all the COVID problems, that's at the moment not very doable. So yes, I'll be talking about IIIF, implementation of IIIF in the KB. And first, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm Danielle and Jansen, and I was introduced very clearly by Arlene, very correctly. I'm the linked data specialist of the KB, the Koninklijke Bibliotheek, the National Library of the Netherlands, situated in The Hague. And not in Amsterdam, as a lot of people sometimes seem to think. And my main projects at the moment as a linked data specialist is that I create a workflow and infrastructure that I've called Emma. And this infrastructure will transform and reconcile data into linked data. I was just a small, funny bit of information because I get asked a lot why this workflow is called Emma. I was first of all thinking about calling it Muze, which is like the Dutch word for muse. And that's not because of all kinds of literary heroes and heroines, but simply because I'm a huge fan of the British pop band Muse. But I decided otherwise and called it Emma, named after Emma Bovary. Even though she's not a Dutch literary heroine, I thought she was famous enough to be the name giver of my workflow and infrastructure in the KB. And secondly, as Arlene also said, I implement the, let's say, IIIF protocol to be able to publish and use IIIF images and metadata for our own collections. And very recently, because we don't use IIIF yet at the National Library, at the KB, very recently, about a month ago, we were announced as one of the newest members of the IIIF consortium. And I'm actually here not so much to tell you about that we became a member of the consortium, but why we became a member of the consortium and experiment and actually implement the IIIF protocol. And that's because I was, amongst other things, working on the Facult Collection. And just as a quick introduction, the Facult Collection is a very large Dutch private library that was owned by the Dutch Facult family, a family that was over several generations, a family that held very important political positions in the Netherlands, or the Dutch Republic, really were the way we were at the 17th and 18th century. But when the French invaded our country in 1795, they were forced to leave the country. Hendrik Facult, the current the family member who was in the lead of the library, fled to Britain and took the library with him. And there it was acquired in 1802 by Trinity College Dublin. And if I can advise you, if you're not yet familiar with this collection, at the website of Trinity College, there's a whole series of short videos on this collection that will show you, amongst other things, the highlights of the collection, but also a peek into the history of the Facult family. The Facult Project at Trinity College is about the conservation and cataloging all the works that are in this private library, and all the publications are registered in the catalog of the Library of Trinity College and in the STCN, the short title catalog Netherlands, the Dutch pre-1800 national bibliography. And at a later stage, all the works, or a lot of the works, will hopefully be digitized also when all the cataloging has been done. And when I worked for the KB on publishing a couple of works out of the Farco collection, I worked on 6 of the numerous works. First of all, there was the question of where we could publish as the National Library the works and metadata, so the scans and the metadata of these works. And we have one website which is called Het Geheugen, which is the Dutch word for memory, which was until recently, a couple of years ago, a website called The Memory of the Netherlands, and it's basically a media repository for, I might say, a little bit condescendingly, pretty pictures. But that's the only platform where we could publish the pictures, or the scans, and the metadata of the Facult collection. So that's what I did. This is the homepage of this collection, where you can see the 6 works that I published over there. This is one page out of the work, which is the Alkmaarse Lusthof van Tulpanen, or say like a beautiful garden of tulips in Alkmaar, which is a small village north of Amsterdam, where the Facult family, I guess, had a house or a small palace where they lived. During all this work, sort of manually on the Facult collection, we ran into a couple of, let's describe them as challenges. We had to duplicate all the images that were provided by Trinity College, by the library. We couldn't use a IIIF viewer because we simply don't use IIIF protocol at the moment, a year ago. And still, we were unable to automatically use all the metadata of the images that were provided by the library. All the metadata was catalogued in the STCN, but I had to manually write them into records that are used for this memory platform. And we could only, due to the suboptimal state of the memory platform, present metadata of the full work, not of each page individually. While when you go and look at the same image at the library of Trinity College Dublin, you can see that there is extensive metadata about the image, both the structural metadata and the technical metadata of the scan itself. So we were losing a lot of valuable information, no automation of presenting the files, and a lot of manual work as opposed to automatically standardized structure in a structured way. And since one of the main, well, let me think how I would say that in English. One of the main, one of the most important aims of the Facult Collection or the Facult Project at Trinity College is to sort of digitally reunify all the information of the library, of the family, and bring everything around the Facult family together. And obviously, this is sort of spread out in Europe. Their library is in Dublin, but there is still correspondence and state documents at the National Archives. There are their family items, there are several mentions at the Noordeinde. Noordeinde is like an important street in The Hague where in these current times the palace of the King of the Netherlands is located, the Work Palace, where he worked from. So like the Dutch small version of Buckingham Palace. And bringing all the documents, books, items, correspondence together, we definitely should look, we as the KB should definitely look into a more structured, automatical way of dealing with both the metadata and the images. So that was for us the main reason, the main underlying reason why we joined the IIIF consortium a month ago, because we are actually now in the process of installing a IIIF server. We are using a Cantaloupe server to store the images according to the IIIF protocol, rastered and multi-layered, with both the info.json and manifest.json, the presentation API, on the server. And for that, we are creating that EMMA workflow to actually automatically generate the info.json and manifest.json XML files. And our main aims are to make the images of the KB special collections available following IIIF standards for use by ourselves, but even more maybe for use by other cultural heritage institutions, researchers, the general public, basically anybody who is interested in viewing and using our collections. And Benjamin and Mark both showed perfect examples of why we would love to be able in the near future to contribute to platforms like our aggregators like Biblissima or Ecosys. We are actually part of a project called Ecosys Netherlands that is aiming to bring together all the metadata and IIIF images from Dutch manuscripts, manuscripts in Dutch collections. So all those brilliant examples shown by the previous speakers are definitely something we are aiming to use as well, rather soon, or sooner rather than later. And it involves also implementing a viewer at a new environment. So we are slowly moving away from that memory, het geheugen platform, to a platform called Collecties or collections.kb.nl, a platform where we can show our special collections, but also the IIIF images and metadata provided by other cultural heritage institutions like Trinity College Dublin, but also other Dutch and European or global institutions. And just I try to find a good balance, I hope, between a general overview of why we are implementing IIIF, and but also not going too much into the technical details. But for people that are interested in it, please do not hesitate to contact me, either personally. I'll give you my contact details, or after this session by asking questions. But we start, as I mentioned before, with the image API and the presentation API, the two core APIs of the IIIF protocol, if you want. And then we'll be installing 3 more APIs for search, authentication, and the audiovisual API. And we have been following a sort of roadmap that's presented by the IIIF consortium for the different steps that we will be taking. And we are like Benjamin, I think I mentioned in his presentation, we have chosen a Mirador viewer that will be used to make a profit from all the possibilities that IIIF framework is offering us. And when you remember the 4 challenges I mentioned at the beginning, hopefully with implementing IIIF, we won't be using, or we won't be making more duplicates of images. We will be able to finally use the IIIF protocol and present the images from ourselves or from other cultural heritage institutions via a Mirador IIIF viewer. And we will also be able to automatically reuse the metadata of the images and other metadata, for example, provided by Trinity College Dublin via the SCCN, the Short Title Catalogue Netherlands. And finally, we will also be able to present metadata of individual pages, including, for example, for medieval manuscripts, the illuminations and illuminated capitals, and so that will be a huge improvement for ourselves. And just a quick timeline what you could expect from the National Library of the Netherlands is that we hope that in the 3rd quarter this year, the IIIF viewer will be implemented at a new digital collections platform. I'm rather envious of the Trinity College virtual library or virtual digital collections platform. And we will be, the first collection that we will add are our own 75 collection highlights. And then hopefully this year we'll still follow the medieval manuscripts for the Dutch Ecosys project, or whoever wants to use them, the catchpenny prints that we have in our digital collections. And then next year we will have a good look at how we can provide data and images for our Alba Amicorum. I looked that up on Wikipedia, actually, and the corresponding English article was German friendship books, but it was actually a German and Dutch sort of phenomenon from the 16th to 19th century, where at the beginning students had little friendship books that they took along to their French and friends and teachers, and they wrote like a little note in it, or later like songs and poetry. So it's like friendship books, and not so, well, it was very German. It started in Germany. And then the Facult Collection, hopefully, and we have another special collection like the Facult Collection at the university. Oh, I have written the University of Lowster. That's not correct. It's the University of Uppsala, and it's called the Lowster Collection. from a Dutch-Swedish entomologist. So that's what we will be working on the coming years when it comes to IIIF and metadata. And as I say, do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. I would love to collaborate with more libraries and institutions, because as you've seen, we are also finding out how it works for us, and we would definitely enjoy working together and sharing knowledge and learning from each other. So thank you very much for inviting me, and hope to speak to you later at the Q&A session.